circumstances. And this is the first thing, or the second thing we say to people who have problems, isn't it? First thing we say, what? Somebody comes and says, what do we say?
God forbid.
Huh?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, oh, that's nice. Yeah, say, oh, I'm really sorry.
This too shall pass.
Yeah, and don't worry, isn't it?
Yeah.
First thing, don't worry, because worrying makes it worse. And why shouldn't I worry? It will pass. I think that, when we look at our fears of the future, it's why they are so terrible, because we can't do anything, because the future is not there yet. We can't react. And why these fears go when the situation comes, because we can do something and we can react. We feel totally helpless about when we have fears about the future, because what can you do now? It's going to be in a week or so. Yeah. So just to know these things intellectually, at the beginning it doesn't help. Nothing seems to change. But if you keep recalling them again and again and again, this is why we meditate. This is why we do reflection on them, so that we integrate them, not just intellectually, but also like in our whole being. And then slowly, you don't have to think about them anymore. It will be there. Yeah. Everything ends. Yeah. How was your lunch?
Great lunch. Great lunch.
Great lunch.
Nice.
The best.
Nice soup.
Yeah, the soup was very good. Anything was very good. Because you see also why when you eat things here, why it's very good. One thing is, of course, if you bring a dish, you want people to ask, who did that dish? Isn't it? So you cook with that intention. So you put a lot of effort into it, but also you put a lot of love into it, because you want people to be happy. Yeah, so then when you eat the things that are being offered upstairs, then that's how you feel like this. It's not that people really think what would please others. So then that goes into consideration for others, So and you feel it. And then also because, usually the energy is quite good. And the better the energy, the less good the food needs to be. This is why all these, high-tech firms and whatever with the CEOs, they have these incredible foods, because the mind is so stressed. Then you need these amazing things. Yeah, that then 3/4 are being thrown away because nobody eats them because they're stressed. I don't know, is it like this?
No.
Catering, no?
The food is amazing and everybody eats it.
Okay, that's good. At least that. That's very good. At least that. Okay, so we continue a little bit with this other, how we familiarize ourselves with that we are dying or that we're dieable. And maybe we do a short reflection on it if we have time. If not, definitely, because the plan is that we are going through these very traditional points that one is looking when one looks at the chapter of death and rebirth. And then I think in March, maybe in a month or something, in March we have one more day where there's no more teachings. There's just like these reflections on these points. And then it's good to be in silence, actually. Yeah. So, and it's also good if you can to stay here over lunch or just to go for a walk or something. And so that it's a repetition of the whole thing. It's nothing new. And then you can maybe at one point, it goes, like that. And something can change, not necessarily in the teachings. When things start to change is when you reflect on them. Because I remember I was an alcoholic. I'm not anymore. I'm not recovering. I was an alcoholic. Okay. I think one can really finish with this. And when we do pujas, I can even take some alcohol. It's absolutely not a problem. So I was an alcoholic, and when I stopped drinking, I had terrible problems. I wanted to kill myself because life was too complicated without that crutch. And I had fears and panic, and I would have these nightmares that I would fall into a black hole almost every night. So I was afraid of going to sleep. So I would sit up the whole night and knit socks. All my friends had these very thick woolen socks. And so then, then I left. I sold a restaurant. I left Switzerland, and I went to travel. It's a long story. But then I just did a course in Copan, more out of curiosity than out of altruism or whatever. It's like, I was just curious. And so there's also what they talked about death, and I had one of these nightmares. And as I was coming back and waking up, and I had this very strong conviction, one day you cannot come back, because that feeling in the black hole, you felt, I'm dying. Yeah, because you can't remember who you are, there's nothing there, it's just black, it's bottomless, it's like, and then I had this thought, who came probably because of yes, one day you will die, and I calmed down, just like that, by accepting the fact, yes, one day you will fall into this black hole, but you're not there yet, so a bit like that. So that was very helpful for me to deal with that fear, because that's the biggest fear that we have, isn't it? I mean, it comes down to that, losing everything that we cherish, losing control, losing identity. You know, it's like now somebody takes away your body and your possessions and your phone and your Visa card and your friends, and then says go, and you don't know where. Oh, can you imagine? Say, oh yeah, wonderful. I wonder what it's going to be like. If you go with a phone, with money, even you don't know anybody, that's okay. You know, you have the wrong security of having money. But if there's nothing to buy, what are you going to do with your money? I was in the Marquesas. There's nothing to buy. You have to ask people to give you something. There's no shops, no hotels, no guest houses, no shops. The boat only comes once a month. If you get off the boat, that's it. You have to find a place to stay.
Where is that?
In the Marquesas, Les Marquises. It's a bit Tahiti and a bit further off. It's where Paul Gauguin and Jacques Brel are buried. I wanted to go visit their graves, which I did. I was standing, it's the other end of the world, you know. I was standing there and going, now what? But yeah, it was good, because it took me all these months to finally get there, to unwind from, you know, restaurant, alcoholic, blah, blah, not drinking anymore. So it was very good. It was a very good time. I needed it before I could start with Buddhist practice, to become some kind of normal again. So, okay. So this is the plan, that today and tomorrow we do. Now this afternoon we go through the 9-point death of meditation or reflection. And then we look at what happens to the mind at the time of death. We go through these 8 absorptions, and then in a week, in a month, we'll meditate on these things. Okay. So these 9 points, sometimes they look a bit weird, or it seems as if they don't fit, and it's not really a point or a reason, but I didn't make them, that's the way they are. So there's 3 roots or 3 main points. And one is that death is absolutely certain. You see, we think we know that everybody dies. Yet when we hear that somebody has died, we're surprised. Or we even say, oh no, I saw them last week. As if because I saw them last week, now they can't die. I have an appointment with them tomorrow. This is what the mind spontaneously says. You know, the mind doesn't say, yeah, okay, everybody dies, yeah. Of course, if somebody was very sick and already knows peace, but even then sometimes we're surprised that they died now. If we have an appointment with them tomorrow, we plan to go visit them tomorrow, we're surprised that they died today, even though one is waiting for their death. This is our instinctive reaction, which is kind of, it shows us that, you know, death and impermanence is a natural law. Same as gravity, you cannot go against it unless you go to the moon, and then gravity doesn't work anymore. But where we are, death and impermanence is a natural law. We can't go against it, but we're not living in harmony with it. This is why we're having problems. This is why we just talked about, like in our society, how death is put aside and dead people are being made up and, you know, looking very beautiful. My mom in her coffin, she never wore makeup. And then they put lipstick on her. She was 85, and then her best friend came and she looked at her and she said, what have they done to you? It's like, yeah, putting flowers in her hands. I still see her. This is also interesting to see about impermanence. When I think mother, I see that last impression of her that I had in the coffin. This is what and then actively I can, of course, how she was when she was alive, but this is the last imprint that stays, and then that remains permanent then
So,
afterwards.
I mean, wouldn't you say that's not really a good thing? Wouldn't you want your last memory to be when she was? Because sometimes I debate, do I want to go see someone when he's in the last moment of his death? Because then that's going to be my last imprint of that person, or should I just not go see him and keep
Listen to your heart or your belly when somebody dies. Don't force yourself to go. Don't force yourself. But I think I went because, Buddhist nun, then I've cut this from the Dalai Lama, blessings, Shala chakras, and I had to put all this on her body. So, of course, I went to do some last rites kind of with her that one does in Buddhism. So I wanted to go, although I was totally, for many, many years, I was really afraid of dead people. I never saw anybody dead until I was a nun, because I didn't feel like I was afraid. Yeah, and the one, I think it was Ajahn Chah who said, you should be afraid of living people, not of dead people. They're much more harmful. Yeah, I mean, it's true, but there still is this kind of, when I hear, oh, can you come, somebody's dying or somebody's dying, I'm still nervous. Somehow it's like, it takes a long time for this to, I think you don't become cold-blooded or cold-hearted in the face of death, because death is a big thing. Death is really a big thing. We shouldn't underestimate it. So I don't know if it's good. Yeah, I see I can recall things actively, but the picture of my mom is like, it's okay. She looked frail. She looked okay, She wasn't blown up or anything. The first corpse I saw was blown up in India. Blown up, oozing out liquid, and I was sitting next to that corpse and thinking, what was I afraid of the whole time? Although she looked horrible, And I was waiting for something dramatic to happen. Nothing happened. And I was just sitting there feeling quite peaceful, actually. Having overcome that step, The thing is courage is only when you can overcome your fear. Just not being afraid of anything, that's not courage. But when you can overcome your fears and your resistance, then you can say, wow, that's really courage. So I don't know whether...
I had a different experience when my dad died, and the doctors, the whole family was there because it was an accident, and the doctors were saying that we should go into the room and see, because otherwise we will not believe that he is dead.
Yeah.
And when they said it, although I was like quite out of my mind, I was thinking, no, it's not. I don't want to say it because it will make an imprint in my mind that I don't want to have. So I was like getting into the room because I didn't have any other choice, but was kind of looking. I can still see the room, and I see like something, but I didn't look at my dad, and that's what I have as a memory.
Nice. It's also okay.
Yeah, in fact, that's...
It's not. You see, this is the thing. There is nothing that is just right or just wrong. And this is why the more calm you are and the more you're connected to yourself, this is what I'm saying, listen to your belly. And if you want to go, go. If you don't want to go. I was happy that I was forced almost to see that first corpse, because it was in Dharamsala and somebody came and said, look, I'm here with my friend and she's dying, and we heard that Buddhist has something to say about death and dying. Can you come? And I had 2 kids on my hands because I was buying shoes for them in Dharamsala from the orphanage. And so I thought, inside I was going, oh, no. I said, oh yeah, but you're in Dharamsala, there's all these lamas and all these masters. What do you want to do with this nun who doesn't know anything? So I gave her the address of the lamas and where to find them and where to find the translator and all this. Went to buy the shoes. 2 days later, Ruth, the translator of Geshe Sonam Rinpoche, comes and says, oh, somebody came to see Geshe-la, and somebody was here with a dying person, and Geshe-la thought it would be good if you could go. So, okay. So you have more confidence, and the teacher kind of sends you. So I had one conversation with her, which was for me, very moving and very inspiring, because you could see she wouldn't last that much longer. She had like a huge belly and arms like this, and she said, I'm not afraid of dying, and sometimes I'm really lying awake at night and I'm full of pain, and I just ask myself, why don't I just go to the other side? And then I understand it's not so easy to go to the other side. So to hear that from a dying person, then you can, who looked very, very calm, very, not panicking, not angry, nothing, very calm. But say, it's not so easy. Then 2 days later she died, and I had an appointment with her, and so somebody else kind of said, oh, she died this morning. I said, but yeah. And then I asked somebody else to come with me who's working in a hospice, and Alex from Australia. And she said, have you had lunch? And I said, no. She said, okay, go have lunch first. So I went to have lunch, and then I came down, and Alex came out and said, don't go in. It's not, because I said to Alex, I said, I need to see a dead corpse. I'm a nun. People will call me, so I can't freak out when it's the moment of somebody else. So I have to see her dead also, not just living. And Alex came out and she said, don't go in, because she looks really horrible. And she was white and shaking, Alex, who is used to see corpses. Then I thought, no, I had lunch, I'm here, I'm going. And so I sat next to her, and we were just waiting for the box to come where we could put her in, because there's no fridges. It was summer, it was hot, it was humid, like 40 degrees humid, and very sick body. But the image of her, that first corpse, and the smell, I had it. Whenever I closed my eyes, I had this image and the smell for at least a month. Now it's gone. I mean, this, you close your eyes, because I was, something in me, I'm sure it was shocked, because we're not used to see the reality of a body when there's no mind in it anymore. So that's why we freak out. And it's totally normal what happened. She was sick, it's hot, it's humid. And the body and the mind has gone, so therefore the body starts to decay. This is what will happen to us as well, if we're not put in a fridge and and preserved and whatever. Yeah. So I think it's good to see these facts, me personally. And then also when you are sitting with somebody who has just died, and then when you keep sitting there, all of a sudden you see that something changes. And then it's not the person anymore that you knew. Then first it looks as if the person is sleeping. I don't know if anybody has made that experience. That it looks as if the person is sleeping, and sometimes you even have the illusion that the chest is rising up. Now that you have to shake like that. And then all of a sudden when the mind goes, actually you feel something that's it. Yeah, so, and it's a very safe way to say thank you, to say sorry, to say goodbye, to be moved by death. And if the person has died well, by the way, and they are still in the clear light, like they're not decaying, you can feel that, and you feel really open and really inspired, and you're very grateful. You feel a big connection at that moment, because their minds are very subtle. So then maybe all your love and all your, then the sadness of having lost a person. I don't know, but I would suggest, but not if you don't want to. Don't force yourself. It's not good. Do not force yourself. Mystery of life. But also, sometimes at one point, these things come from deep within. When Ruth Children's mom died, and I had been with her quite a bit also, long time. So when the corpse, I couldn't recognize her anymore almost. Only that she had like things sticking out here. I was just looking at this dead body, and I thought, I don't understand death. It makes you very humble, I think. Death makes you very humble. You're powerless. You can't manipulate anything. That's the way it is. And it's nice to be in contact with that, being humble. No I, the top of the world or whatever. And it's just this very deep but moving thing came out like, I don't understand death. They're here and then they're gone. Because we're not looking upon it as a natural thing. That's why. We talked about conditioning. We're so conditioned. Yeah, one shouldn't die. Somebody says, I'm old, I want to die. We go, oh no, you will last forever. It's like, yeah. We say these stupid things. If you say to somebody, yeah, okay, if you want to go, it's fine. People think you're heartless or something. Yeah.
What do you or Buddhists think about helping someone to die, like Sterbehilfe you have in Switzerland?
Yeah, we'll talk about this tomorrow maybe. Now we'll go to the...
I'm
Yeah.
not there tomorrow.
Yeah,
I
well...
will watch the video.
Huh?
It's okay. I'm not here tomorrow.
Okay.
I can watch the video.
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about this tomorrow. Okay, so the first point that we think about, that death is certain. We think we know, but we don't, because we don't react as if we know. Yeah. You see, I mean, very often we do know, but then we react totally differently. So then we should ask ourselves, do I really know? Then we can say, no, I don't really know. So then we need to give the mind reasons why death is certain. It's not enough just to say death is certain. We need to kind of prove it. So the first point is that whoever is born has to die. So there's main points and then there's 3 underpoints. Yeah? Main point is death is absolutely certain, really absolutely certain. Because until now, nobody has survived forever. So if one person survives forever, you can say, okay, maybe me also. But if not, even the Buddha died. Jesus died. Like Muhammad died. All these people, these very realized people died. So this is everybody who was born has died. Then the other kind of logical point is that our time that we have is constantly decreasing. There's nothing we can add to it, and we can't hold this process. You can't say, oh, when I'm sleeping, the body is not decaying. It's the body who dies, okay? It's not the mind who dies. It's when the death occurs, when the body, in Tibetan, when the body is not a suitable vessel for the mind anymore. And then the mind has to leave it, has to go. Then death occurs, but it's just physical. The mind itself doesn't really die, okay? So the time of our lifespan is decreasing. And so there's also another thing, we think we have endless time. When you were looking back this morning a little bit, when you were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, did it seem long from this time as a child or a young person until now? It seems like this, yeah? Now, when you look into the future and you think, well, even me, when you look at death, does it seem also just like this? It looks very long, as if we have a long time. It will be, when we look back, it will be just like, oops, already finished. Yeah. So then the third point there is, because we can't add anything, we can't hold the process, that we are kind of checking how we spend our time, our days. Given that it is constantly decreasing, given that I will certainly die at one point, how am I spending my days? Am I practicing the things that will be helpful for death, or I'm just creating more knots with people around me, or I'm creating more desire, more attachment to the things, more dependency? Maybe attachment is not such a good word. It's dependency. We are dependent on being entertained, on doing something, and the mind constantly wants to do something. And now with these telephones, we've got the good way of always being busy with something, so we don't have to come down to that fact, I am mortal, I am frightened, I'm alone, all this. We don't have to see these things because we are always outside. Yeah, there's no reception after death. Finished. Phone is not working. Even they put it in your coffin, it's not going to work. This is another thing. Telephones is a very good example about how when we see that things are impermanent, we're not surprised. Because with the telephone, with the bars, you see when the battery is getting less. When it goes beep, boom. Nobody is surprised because you saw it. Yeah. Here, where the battery is maybe once every 2 years, when the clock stops working, the first thing I do is to shake it to see if the battery is really empty. And I'm surprised. I am surprised when after 2 years it stops. In the telephone, because I see it, because I'm aware of it, I'm not surprised. There's no emotion. Do you see what I mean? That's why we have to make ourselves familiar with impermanence. Then it's no surprise when the time is up. Yeah? So we ask ourselves, are I spending my days in order to create, patience, loving kindness, openness? Do I have a toolkit with me where to put my mind when I'm dying? Actually, the Protestant Church, they have very good courses which are called Letzte Hilfe. Like we have Erste Hilfe, first aid. They offer Letzte Hilfe. And that's all about, accompanying dying people and for your own death and stuff. So I think it's very good. This is what I'm saying. Like the Protestant Church is doing a lot in these terms, like workshops and or programs, and it's very good. They have a website, so you can check. I know it because I'm in contact with all these people. Like in Bern now, we have a program where we're 16 people, 8 women, 8 men from all different religions, and we're sitting together and figure out how to form professional religious caregivers, not just Christians, that the state would pay, like they would be paid, that it can be a profession. So even though it will last a long time until it comes about, it's very pleasant to work together with the Hindus, with the Jews, the Muslims, and it's 2 Protestant priests, 2 young ones who started the program, which is very nice, just to have contact with all these people and to talk about death all the time. It's really nice. Really nice. It makes you might have noticed, it doesn't make us depressed. Actually, most of the time. There's always exceptions. Okay, so that's the first main point, or the first root, they say. Death is certain. Why? Because everybody who was born will die. Time is decreasing. I can't hold it. I can't add anything to it. And then checking, how do I spend my day? These are the 3 underpoints. You should be able to find all this somewhere, probably in these links, because I thought that maybe Talia has sent it to you. But anyway, you will find them. Then the next point is, although death is absolutely certain, the time of death, totally uncertain. You said you will not be here tomorrow. You are certain that you're not here tomorrow because you have other plans. And you are certain that you will be able to do whatever you have planned. All of us are absolutely certain we will sleep in our bed tonight, unless you plan to sleep in another bed. Well, yeah, I don't know.
You are.
That you will go home, or you will, out of here, you will reach the place where you had planned to go, isn't it? Is that realistic? Absolutely not. Of course, you have 99.999 chance that we get there, but it's not. We don't have a guarantee. And you see, the problem is because we count that we will get there. So when we get there, we're not even happy that nothing happened on the way and I'm still alive. How many of you wake up in the morning thinking, wonderful, I'm still alive? How many of us wake up like, oh, where's my coffee? Isn't it? We could have died that night. But we didn't. So isn't that wonderful? Yeah, in Buddhist terms, even you die, you have to continue, and you have to start from point 0 again as a baby. So even though you have problems now and you think death would be getting rid of these problems, no, if you don't solve them, you take them with you. That's what Buddhism would say. It's just a view, it's just a belief, I don't know. But I think it's a good one. Get your things in order. Yeah, now, while we're still clear in the head and while we have time. So the time of death is absolutely uncertain. Are we living as if that is a fact? Absolutely not. Yeah. So we don't appreciate being alive. So the reasons for that is because we don't have a, we don't have a fixed date. We don't have an expiry. We don't have an expiry date. If we would have one, it would be fantastic. You see, if you have a sign up in a gym for a year, okay, maybe for many months you don't go because you think, oh, it still lasts very long. You don't take advantage of it. Then you see, only one more week. What do?
Every day.
You go. Exactly. You go because you want to use it. Yeah. Then when you put in the card and it says and you can't get in, then okay, you go home and that's it. Yeah. But if you're not aware that it will expire, and then you don't know it, and you go and it goes and then you get upset. Yeah, this is the other thing. So we don't have, unfortunately. So we don't know. Nobody has. We can die very young. Beings can die in the womb. Beings can die at birth. Beings can die as a baby. Beings can die child, teenager, 20s. We're still here, so we didn't die then. But not only old people die, but we're always surprised when young people die. Because they shouldn't die, because they think, oh, it's only for old people, but it's not like that. Yeah. Then the next reason why the time of death is uncertain, because our bodies are very, very, because we're surrounded by many things that can cause death. Life is very dangerous. It's much easier to destroy a life than to keep it up. It needs many more conditions to keep us alive than to kill us. At the moment is coronavirus. I can never say coronavirus. We can't even see it with our own eyes, and it puts the whole world in. Yeah, something as small as a virus. We can control it. We can't really see it. It's like, and everybody. Yeah, this is how powerful we are, humanity. Yeah, these little things. Okay, we're constantly surrounded by things that can cause our death. Cars, trams, trains, houses, things that are supposed to protect us can collapse, can burn, landslides, planes can crash. But we always, we go on the plane, we're convinced that we're going to land safe, isn't it? So, of course, if you take into consideration, but if I think that I can crash, I'm not going to fly anymore. Well, good. Flying is not good for the environment anyway. So, that it will block you, but I don't think so. Yeah. But just to let go of these expectations, how we go out of the house in the morning, that nothing should happen to me. Nobody should steal my things. Nobody should scratch my car. Nobody should insult me. And then, as I'm saying, we come home in the evening. We don't even appreciate. When it happens, we go, the whole evening is ruined. When you say, well, yeah, happens to everybody. This is what life is all about. Yeah, as I say, shit happens. So like this. Huh?
I think it's a famous Buddhist saying.
I had at one point, I can't remember what the Buddhists say. I had at one point a list of what the religions say. For example, the Jews, it can't happen on a Saturday because they're not supposed to react on a Saturday. And I can't remember. Maybe I find it somewhere. I'll bring it next. It's quite funny. Maybe, yeah, with death, who dies or something like that. Who dies? Nobody dies. Because there's no I, the Buddhists. Okay. It's funny when you read it to yourself. I don't like to do it so much openly because sometimes for some of them it's a bit disrespectful. And I don't want to hurt anybody who have beliefs. Yeah, shit happens. So we should be happy when it doesn't happen. Yeah, instead of being upset when it happens. So that's the second point. Yeah, first point, we don't have an expiry date, like we don't have fixed lifespan. Second one is we are surrounded by many causes that can cause death. And the third one is the body is very fragile. And we don't notice it. When we're healthy and not sick, we feel very proud and very arrogant, very strong. It needs a little headache. It needs a flu. It needs some fever. Then we can see how weak the body is. Yeah, and something as small as a thorn can cause an infection. And now also in the hospitals, you go to hospital to get cured, and you get an infection, and then you die. Yeah, we cannot overcome death. So these are the three reasons why the time of death is uncertain. Because actually, death we carry with us all the time. We cannot say, okay, death, mortality, now you stay home, I'm going on a holiday for 2 weeks, then afterwards I'll take you back in. It's with us all the time, because it's this body. And we're not living this fact, that we are so fragile. Then we're surprised when we get sick. Again, we should be surprised when we wake up healthy in the morning. And when things happen to you, when you start to think like this, when something happens, you're actually quite happy that not more things happened. When you realize that this can happen anytime, I can fall anytime, I can have an accident anytime. And when an accident happens, the mind goes not into, it should not have happened. It goes into, good thing not more happened. Because the other day I fell in Bern, I over a stool like this, a bit higher, and I really flew like that, with the head on the floor. And we have one of these seesaw carpets which are very rough. So I scratched the whole, it's still dark, I scratched those, I had a blue eye like this. While I was flying, I was thinking, oh no, it's Saturday, 10 o'clock. Oh, I have to go to emergency, because I knew it's going to be bad. Yeah. So boom, crash on the floor, the glass is somewhere else. And then here it starts to burn. So I touch, okay, blood. And then so I go like, okay, very gently, very aware, I was sure I was broken something while flying. So I started to move. Everything was moving. I could get up. So I went to see in the mirror. I thought, okay, it's not so bad, just scratches like this. And I was so happy. I was so happy I didn't have to go to emergency Saturday, 10 o'clock at night. This is how you slowly transform the mind. Instead of, thinking, shouldn't have happened. Gosh, I'm stupid. Why did I not see this thing? Yeah, I didn't see it. I kind of fell over it. So what? Yeah. But it was okay. Do you see what I mean? I could, and then I start to imagine, how it is with us. We have these windows when you go into the Gompa.
Yeah.
I could have flown into there. Can you imagine in my face? I could have, with the head on the edge of the door, kind of, the door. But no, I only fell on the carpet, so it was only skin that heals by itself. So this is the advantage of the whole thing, I think. Slowly, with 30 years of practice, what to do? It comes automatically. Yeah. And very quick reaction. Already while falling, thinking, whom shall I phone who brings me to the emergency? Yeah.
Is it excuse me? Is it really that surprising that we don't expect to die? Because aren't we also fundamentally rational and probabilistic? So if we think there's 99.9% chance that we're not going to die, then that's going to influence us.
This
we think in terms of probabilities.
Yeah. Sure. But still, there's this other point as well.
Right.
And you can see with people who are in the face of death and having very, very dangerous jobs, that they're very calm. Because they can't allow themselves to freak out. Because they're used to that, I could explode here. Yeah, I was in Paris at one point, a bomb alert. And then these guys came, to defuse the bomb. Big, tall. The way they walked was so inspiring. Totally calm, totally. Yeah, so
So the higher the probability of death, the less surprised you are.
The less surprised you are, and the more you appreciate that you are alive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then when it happens, and then it becomes just a passage. Especially when you look at the third main point here, it says what will help at the time of death. But first you look, what does not help at the time of death? So you have to know what will not help me at the time of death. So in general, they name the 3 things that we are most attached to or most depending on for our happiness. Because I think attachment is not strong enough, that we depend upon for our happiness. One is our possessions. Yeah. So again, we look, where does the mind go when it's not well? Where does it go? To the fridge, to the online shopping, to what else? To ski, to music, to something that is mine, something that we possess. To console ourselves. This is where it goes first, yeah. If you have a lot of possessions and things are not in order when you die, and you definitely don't want that cousin to have your stuff, but you haven't written it down anywhere, and you know he is the grabber and he's going to get that new computer, it will disturb your death process. Something stupid like this, This is why when you make these reflections, it's very good to see, you put all your things in your mind that you are depending on, that you really like, you think, wow, you put in space in front of you, and you think it's exactly these people you don't like, they get them and use them, and they go and look, oh, I thought this was better, and they throw it away. You need to give already now, while you're still alive, people to give the permission to throw away your stuff when you die. Have you ever emptied a dead person's house or apartment? Those who go like this smile. Those who go like yes, they go like yeah. How much of it gets thrown away? It's so difficult. How much of it gets thrown away? How much?
95%.
95%. And what's the problem there? Actually, you should give this job to somebody else, not somebody from the family, because you have the whole emotional ballast thing. Ballast, is that my weight or something? Baggage. The whole emotional baggage goes with it, because your mom was a Buddhist and she really liked this singing bowl. But I really have nothing with Buddhism, and I don't know what to do with it. I don't want it, but you can't throw it away, or you can't even give it away, because it was your mom's favorite singing bowl. Yeah. So then you have to keep, or if you give it away, you feel bad, you feel guilty, you feel whatever. So in order to make it easy for the people, you can already meditate now, you can write it down somewhere. Whatever I possess, do with it whatever you want. You can throw away, you can use it, you can sell it. Then it's okay. But if your whole happiness depends, when you're not well and you find happiness, the only place you find happiness is in these material things, it becomes very dangerous, because you're going to lose them. Anybody has had anything stolen? Mm-hmm. How does it feel?
Well, it was a bit annoying. It was my skis and I was skiing. So. Oh God! But well, a few years ago, I would have been really upset, and then I was like, "Oh well, what to do?
Okay,
may someone have fun with them."
Yeah, that's you see, the skis are gone anyway.
Yeah.
So if you get upset, but the first thing is like, how dare they, isn't it?
Yeah.
It can't be. So this also, skis are quite big. So, but imagine wallet. You are sure your wallet is in your bag, and you go and want to pay something, and it's not there. We refuse to believe it, and we look maybe 10 times. We empty the whole bag; it's not there, but we refuse to believe it. Yeah.
I'm laughing because it once happened to a car. I was driving a car with a friend, and we knew exactly where we parked the car. We just went to the house to pick something up, and we came down, when we're coming to the spot and the car is not there, it was stolen, but literally we were like walking around the whole parking lot. And then we parked the car like 10 minutes before. We were like, this is unbelievable. We must have both forgotten.
This is exactly it. You know, so it's good when you do these things, or when you misplace something and you've been looking in the drawer where it usually is 10 times already. The 11th time you want to reach it, no, it's not here. And this is when they talk about this I. This is exactly it. We see, you see, we kind of, it's not, we think it's there, and then we refuse, even though logically we see it can't be there, but we refuse to believe it, that it's not there. Same as with the wallet or with the whatever that you're losing. But it's not a good feeling when something gets stolen. It's like this, how dare they? See, death will snatch everything away. Everything. Which we call mine. Why are we getting so upset? Because it's my car, my skis, my this, my that. Yeah. So all the possessions that we have, it's very good when we look upon them as having them on loan. Somebody gave them to us so we can use them. They're not mine. At one point I have to give them back or leave them behind. Then we enjoy them, we treat them nicely. When they're gone, either try stolen now or whether they, you know, at the time of death is not a problem. Yeah. And if you have a lot of possessions, then already now, you know, start to think, where do I want it to go? And write it down if it's important for you. So then also for the people who stay behind, it's much easier. Yeah. How many of you have made not testament, but have made a Patientenverfügung and Sterbeverfügung? How many of you have? Yeah. Do it. Especially also when you are not conscious anymore. So difficult for other people to make your decisions. So be considerate about them. You know, your parents, if you're young, or your siblings or whatever. But there's also, there's a list who comes first. It's not necessarily your brothers and sisters if you don't have contact with them. It's usually who makes these decisions. Usually it's somebody that is close to you. Yeah, that you have contact with, that knows you. It's by law. There's a list like this. Who comes first and then next. In the civil code. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing how organized we are when we plan a trip to another country. And here we're planning the trip to our next life, and it's like, oh, what will come will come. You know, if we would be like this in life, then it's okay, because then we're used to it. But look, you go shopping, you make a list. At one point, that's what I used as argument. Somebody said, I don't need to do these courses. I'm not afraid of death. I said, look, I'm not afraid of shopping, but I prepare before I go shop. I don't need to be afraid in order to do something like this. Yeah? Just to get familiar with it. So, yeah, so like this. So possessions cannot help. They can help if it's high quality and you think, oh, wow, now somebody else can use them. Because it puts the mind in a nice state. A friend of mine who was very sick, and her daughter always has problems with money and so she was cancer, leukemia, and she said, look, doesn't matter. If I die, the daughter will get the apartment. If I survive the treatment, okay, then I'll survive and I can help her and still be around. But both is okay. That's a good way of thinking. Yeah. So if you buy things, buy quality so that people can still use it or sell it. Yeah, not trash where they're not able to throw it away because there's like emotional kind of attachment there, something. Imagine all the statues and tankas that you have, your siblings who are not interested in Buddhism, your parents who are not interested in Buddhism, you know. We get, you know, in a micro shopping bag, we get a whole bag full of things. Oh, my mother died, I don't know what to do with this stuff here. You can have it, and, you know. But also, you know, how much of this can we keep? So then I put it out and say, whoever wants to take, please take. If nobody takes, I bring it to the Brokerhus. So at least people are exposed to it, whoever is interested. And somebody said, oh, I was thinking of giving my things to the center. Are you going to bring it to the Brokerhus? I said, yeah. She said, then I'm not giving it. Fine. It's like, there we see that these, the Buddha is in your heart. It's nice to have a nice statue, but the Buddha is in your heart. You better take the Buddha, that one in your heart you can take with you. Next one, which is not helpful also at the time of death, is friends and family. Because, of course, we think, oh, I want to die with my family there. Not sure. Not sure. Just imagine, you like your family very much and then you have to go away and you're sure that you're going to come back, but still you feel pain and you cry maybe when you go. At least there's some heavy heart when you leave people that you love, even though you're convinced I'm coming back and they will still be alive. Yeah, not sure. So then also there's reluctant to go. We are not wanting to go. So there's another thing also you can practice already right now. Stop hating to have to go. When you feel like, oh, I don't want to go, work with that feeling. Because that will be also something that, I don't know if you have noticed, it is so painful when you see body finished, mind finished, but they can't go. There's this clinging to life. It is so painful for everybody, for the person around. There's this struggle, not wanting to go. I'm not saying you should go kill yourself, okay? Please don't understand this, but it's like also when it's time. Yeah. So this we can practice already now. When you have this, I don't want to go.
What do you mean by going away?
It's dying, going somewhere else.
Dying.
Yeah, going somewhere else. But now we, when you think, I don't want to go, don't feel like going, open up. This is it. When I say work with these feelings, be aware of them. This is working with them. To be aware of them and to give them space. Then they take care of themselves. Because then you see their nature, they're empty. They're not like a brick, You come out of the feeling, you look at the feeling, you give it space with your breath, you say, okay, unpleasant feeling. You label it for what it is, and you don't feed into it, it will disappear. You don't identify with it. If it's still not working so well, then you go, am I this feeling? And it separates. Yeah. When you're very angry, very good antidote is, I am the anger. You go, no. Then you see you're much more than your anger. But if you don't do that, you become the anger. And then you can't get rid of it because you are the anger. Yeah? So we need to learn to disidentify with it. Okay, so friends and family, and especially when there's like negative stuff hanging around. So please, for their sake, for your sake, if you can bring things in order. Don't need to go and talk about it, but in your heart. This has happened. Okay, it's finished. It's gone. No need to hold on. I mean, this we could do a whole week on this, how to let go of these harmful, hurtful things. We need to address it. It's very, very painful. And sometimes when it's big things, you need help. You can't do this alone. Because, sometimes when we talk about vulnerability or things like that, I've once seen, I was maybe 5 years old, and whenever I go to that region, I still have this very strong feeling of fear and anger coming up, because my mother went out of the train because she knew somebody who worked in that train station in Sargans, and we went skiing to Davos. Already it's very small. And the train was moving, and I thought she was still outside. And I was in total panic. And people around me tried to calm me down. It didn't work, yeah. And then I saw my mother coming, and I was so angry at her that it all comes together. I wasn't conscious as a small child of these things. It's only these very strong emotions. It's only now by, thinking about moments when I was vulnerable that it all came up. And every time I passed this train station, I'm 70 years old, I still have this, yeah. And what I remember, she had bought me a sausage, and it was cold. So it's so vivid still, this cold sausage, my anger and my panic and my sobbing and my feeling embarrassed probably also, because all these people kind of tried to calm me down. like that. So it's very deep, this stuff, you know. Just don't think because you don't remember that, or when you have strange stuff happening, try to when it's good. Actually, it's very good to sit down sometimes just to think, when did I feel vulnerable? Because then you can start healing it, letting it go, letting it be. Not letting it go, but letting it be. Okay. My mom is dead, and she didn't do it on purpose. She was just very only interested in seeing that guy there. So yeah. And it's really, I have to say, it's thanks to Buddhism. I was very angry at my mother all the time. I really didn't like her. So if you are a mother and your daughter dislikes you, they don't do it on purpose. I couldn't help it. I just didn't like that woman. For whatever reason, it's like, that's what it was. So, thanks to the practice, I started to be able to accept her the way she was before she died. If Buddhism, that's the only thing that Buddhism has done for me, that's enough, because it totally changed my life. Being able to go and see my mother without fear of hurting her, because I felt that I hurt her, but I couldn't help it by being so cold and so, I don't want to, all this. Yeah. There's no point going, where did it start and why did it happen? There's no point. It's like you can transform these feelings even though you don't know the root of it, by just seeing how silly it is to hold on to those things. And by seeing the good things that, she gave me this body. That's okay. I didn't give any body to anybody. I was too selfish to have children. So she at least had some. So like this. So I'm not saying you're selfish if you don't want children, okay? It's your own, don't go too far. It's your own decision whether you want to have children. If you don't have any own children, then you can be there for many, many children. You can be there for many people. Nobody gets upset. Nobody feels neglected. Nobody feels jealous. But that's the other advantage.
I thought Buddhism said
But
that
you can
wanting
have both.
children
Huh?
I thought Buddhism said that wanting children is selfish. It's wanting to reproduce the I. It's wanting to.
It depends on your motivation. Yeah. Again, it's like you can. This is so nice about Buddhism. Whatever you say, even if it's totally the contrary of what I say, you're also right. Really, it's really nice because nobody is totally wrong, nobody is totally right. It depends on your motivation.
Then one can say you have 8 children, you can still be there for many other children.
When you have 8 children.
I say then one can also say if you have 8 children, for instance, then you can also be for many other children, for many other people there.
Yeah, but your own children come first. You need to give them that security.
Yes, but you still have space for others.
You, but not your children. Not your children. If you as a mother, you take just as much care of other children than of them. You have as a mother, maybe yes, but for the children, it's not so great.
They have to feel that they're the priority.
Yeah.
Can't both happen?
I don't know. You have to ask your children.
I don't have to. I don't.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like sometimes.
And
Children of people who are very much for the society, for the community, looking after, they felt neglected.
Yeah.
They felt that the world was more, other people were more important to dad or to mom than them. Again, can be like this, can also not be like this. But I think if you want to be of benefit to many people, don't have your own children, because then you're sure that you're not hurting anybody. Yeah. Or, your husband or your partner, and you decided to go to the movies, but then your friend phones and says, oh, I'm sick. Can you come and look after the kids? You tell your partner, look, I'm going to look after the kids. He will feel disappointed because he will feel that he's less important than other people. So if you're not liaised to somebody, then you don't have this problem. Whoever needs you, you can go. It's nice. Okay, where were we? The family and the friends that, help in the sense they cannot prevent your death. Your possessions cannot prevent your death. You cannot buy, you can't bargain with death. Say, look, I give you at this, but let me live a little bit longer. Then friends and families, they cannot prevent it, even they beg you not to go, you still have to go. And as I say, it can actually create a problem. Yeah. Because I see also, old people, when they are in old people's homes and the family doesn't come anymore, like this lady again. She has to have an operation. She says, none of the family is coming. Me, if nobody comes when I have an operation, so why? I don't have family anymore. I'm not disappointed. Yeah, so it's nice to have family, it's true, but a lot of hurt happens in the families because there's this expectation, which is okay, that family is a safe haven, but it's not. Yeah, most of the, the Verletzungen, most of the hurt comes from like that. But also your friend and family, it can also, when you know that you had a very good relationship, you can be grateful that they walked this bit of path with you, and it will be okay. Yeah, but in general is that don't rely on them, And then the body, a body is another thing that we're dependent on for our happiness. Then the body also can't help at the time of death, because that's the one who dies. So you see, the body is the thing that we're most attached to, and you feel your attachment when somebody touches it that you dislike. You see what I mean? Okay, if the Dalai Lama comes and takes your hand, and the way he does, he massages it and he presses it and he looks into your eyes, so you're very happy. You don't say, hey, come on, warrior. He's a man, right? Would you go into Me Too when it's the Dalai Lama? I don't think so. If it's somebody else that you don't give the permission to do it, then you would, even if hope somebody makes a photograph. Let's do a selfie with the Dalai Lama. If it's somebody else, then, we're very attached to this body. This is where you feel. And why we don't feel the attachment, because we're always together with the body, right? The attachment you only feel when you lose something that you are attached to. Then you feel the hurt. Whereas you're together with it, you don't even feel. Fear of losing maybe, but not so much. And when we look how much care goes into this body, how many thoughts, how much money goes into this body, and at the time of death he said, look, sorry, I'm tired, goodbye. This is it. It lets you down. It's not a suitable vessel for the mind anymore. The mind has to leave it. So that can't help either. So then you have to look, okay, what will help at the time of death? And this will be your homework a little bit between today and tomorrow, tonight. That you sit down and you think a few points, how you would like to die and how you don't want to die, and what you can do already now that you have not a guarantee, but somehow maybe, being prepared for it. And this can change. These points, it's good to look at them from time to time because they change. And it makes us, sometimes it can be very helpful because it makes us see our unrealistic thinking. Because when I did this for the first time, I wrote down, I want to die with my teacher next to me. My teacher was 72, I was 40. I saw it, and we didn't just see it, we had to read it out, okay? So the moment when I was writing it down, it didn't look strange. When I was saying it, I thought, like, oh, that is a bit, maybe not much chance. So my teacher is still alive, I'm still alive, so whatever question I have to ask now. I can't wait, right? Then I wrote another thing, how I don't want to die. There was a nun in one country, I don't tell you where, not Switzerland, and I really didn't like her. She was the one who usually goes and reads, the death absorptions and the practices. And I wrote that, I don't want her to do this. see how helpful this is. I needed to see it. And then I thought, well, if you die there, she will be the one doing it. So you better start to work with your aversion towards her. And it's not that I kind of would go on holiday with her, but it's okay. I can talk to her in a normal way. Because I thought I better work with this now. Yeah. So like this. Yeah. So this is, it's good to think about who do I want to be there? What did I do? Just look. Yeah. And see what happens. If you want, we can do this, and we do 2 and 2, and you read it out to each other. So we share. It's very good, and then you see. Because it's only when we see it and we talk about it, then we see, the fear, fire, flood, and no control. It's only when we see that we don't have control that we start to give up wanting to have control. That's why it's so helpful.
Could you repeat the two, what we should think about?
Yeah, one is a few points. We usually say 5 points, but how you want to, how would you like to, under what circumstances, who there and what, and your mind state. I don't want to give you too many hints, okay? So it really comes down from you, yeah? How you want to die, how you don't want to die, and what you can do already now, maybe. Because that's the reason why we talk about these 9 points, to make ourselves familiar with this. Because then we lose the fear. We lose the panicky fear, the unreasonable fear. Because fear of dying doesn't prevent you from not dying. But another kind of fear is very helpful. The fear of not doing what you want to do in your life will make you act when you think that death will come. Yeah. But then again, as you said, we still haven't any guarantee. But at least we do something, because it could work, You have no guarantee that you will not have an accident when you go out with the car. But you still go out with the car. You're not staying at home, we're not going anywhere. Anyway, death can find you anywhere. At home, in the car. Okay, is that more or less all right? With these 9 points, yeah? The 3 main points. Death is certain, the time of death is uncertain, and you have to see what helps at the time of death. Of course, in the scriptures it says only Dharma, only your Dharma practice helps in the time of death. What does it mean with the Dharma practice? Your positive actions. Does everybody understand German? Ja, du Christian sowieso? No, okay. It's a bit different. I should have translated it before, but I'll read it in German, and then maybe somebody, Nina or somebody who's very good, can translate. I say one sentence and then you translate it.
I'm horrible at translation, but maybe
Okay.
we all try to do it.
Ja, you all do it. You're very good. Okay.
We all try.
Es ist der natürliche Verlauf der Dinge, dass ich alt werde. Es gibt keinen Weg, dem zu entfliehen.
It's a natural way of things that I will be old and there's no way to run away from it.
Exactly. Es ist der natürliche Verlauf der Dinge, dass ich krank werde. Es gibt keinen Weg, dem zu entfliehen.
It's a natural course of things that I will be sick and there's no way to run away from it.
Es ist der natürliche Verlauf der Dinge, dass ich sterben werde. Es gibt keinen Weg, dem zu entfliehen.
It's a natural course of things that I will die. There's no way to run away from it.
Alles, was mir lieb und angenehm ist, muss sich verändern und vergehen.
Everything that I like and love
Muss sich verändern und vergehen. Is subject to change and will disappear. Meine Taten sind mein einziges wirkliches Erbe.
This is what I do. My actions are the only thing that I take with me.
It's my inheritance. Ich bin der Besitzer, mit ihnen verknüpft, habe sie zur Zuflucht.
I am the owner and I am connected with them and they are my refuge.
Die heilsamen und unheilsamen Taten, die ich tue, werde ich zum Erbe haben.
The positive and negative actions that I do, I will have as my inheritance.
Ich bin nicht der Einzige. Alle sind mit diesen Tatsachen konfrontiert.
I'm not the only one. Everybody is confronted
confronted with these facts. Because that's the only thing we take with us. Our positive potential, our negative potential, our tendencies, our habits. That's what we take with us. All the rest we have to leave behind. Everything else we pay so much attention to have it in good shape. We have to leave behind.
At lunch I sent exactly the same thing on the, did you see it? Do you have the Losang
Okay, so
WhatsApp?
good.
I can read it if you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a saying from the Buddha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sent it, I can read it, it's very short.
Yeah, good. So, whenever we're caught up in being sick or being this or not having what we want and all this, if we see this, then we relax, we open up.
Should I read it?
Yeah? Yes, please.
I said, appropriate for this weekend retreat because I just got it. I am of nature to decay. I have not gone beyond decay. I am of the nature to be diseased. I have not gone beyond disease. I am of the nature to die. I have not gone beyond death. All that is mine, dear and delightful, will change and vanish. I am the owner of my karma, heir to my karma, born of my karma, related to my karma, abide, supported by my karma. Whatever karma I shall do, whether good or evil, of that I shall be the heir.
Yes. And then here it continues, I'm not the only one. Everybody is subject to these facts. So that's good to know. Okay, so now we make a break. Another maybe just shorter a little bit. Is that okay? Like until 4 o'clock? And then we go through the death absorptions. Since I said I didn't receive anything from Talia, so I don't know. But I have a few copies here that we can share so you can look at. Because I still had printed out ones in Bern, because it explains quite well what happens, what kind of appearances you have, what happens to body and mind when you die. And that's very, very helpful for you to know and to train. And some dying people, they describe these things, actually. So instead of freaking out, we start to think, that's what they said. Okay, what's next? Yeah. And when you see, because I do a lot of these courses, and sometimes people tell me what the grandfather said, and it really confirms that, because at one point a young man said, this is what my grandfather said when he said, I'm feeling like sucked into a toilet. So, you see, yeah, because you have the feeling of falling into a bottomless ground. So everybody tried to calm him down by saying, hey, but no, look, you're lying on the bed, everything is okay. He got more and more upset because that's what he felt. Instead of telling him, yes, it's normal, I know, this is what you feel. You feel like falling into a bottomless pit. Because the moment you tell somebody it's normal, they calm down. It's funny, even if it's really bad. The moment you say, yeah, it's normal, and you can even describe other symptoms, it's like somebody knows it's okay. I had this experience because when you meditate too much, you get this, and you're stressed, you get this thing that's called lung. Yeah, it's like very narrow here, and this anxiety, a very dry mouth, and you have to pee a lot, and your heart is beating like mad, and you think something is wrong with your heart, but the wind energy is too strong. So at one point, and somebody came, Tushita, knock on my door, at 3 o'clock in the morning, kind of, blah, 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 blah. I'm dying, and it's a good thing sometimes I can hold my mouth, because I felt like saying, so what do you want me to do? This is it. When you start to watch your mind, you realize that all the shit that goes through your head, really, and how selfish I am. So I say, okay, come in. So the first thing I always did with these people, I gave them a hot chocolate. So that always comes to that. So he said, my heart is pounding, and I can't breathe. And I said, yeah, and you have dry mouth. And she said, yes. So I said, okay, you have lung. At the moment I said it, he had no clue what it is. But the moment I said it, and since he saw I was not upset because it's just lung, then lung, wind.
Wind.
Yeah. Like in the Ayurvedic medicine, you also have it, bile, wind, and phlegm. And when the wind is too high, then you know, it pushes the water up and you cry very easily and very dry mouth and like that. And so so I kept him in my room until 6 o'clock in the morning and talked to him, and all. He was pretty calm. But he still wanted to go immediately to Delhi to have his heart checked. So I said, yeah, you can do, but you can also go to the Tibetan doctor first. Before they make all these, you know, machines and all this costs a lot of money, they won't find anything. Because nothing wrong with your heart. It's just the wind energy that is too strong. So then he went to Yeshidondan and he came back very happy. I have lung. I said, yeah. So this is good to know. When your heart is pounding, there's not necessarily something wrong with your heart. It's your wind energy is too strong. So you need to relax. If you're a lay person, the way you relax is drinking beer, going with people who laugh a lot, and having sex if you have a partner. This is how you deal with it. This is from Tibetan medicine. If you are a monk or a nun, stop meditating immediately. Go on a holiday, relax.
Yes, I have a prescription.
So, you know, whenever we went to Yeshidondan and he said, oh, lung is too high, we were all very happy because then you can be lazy. You have the permission medically not to do anything, not to meditate. Don't force your meditation when you feel this in here, because it will just get worse. Yeah, you really need to relax and be kind to yourself and do fun things. Yeah, and beer is, you know, as a medicine is very good. Or tampa, with the food, things that ground you, like wheat stuff and tampa and peanut butter and oil and these heavy stuff. No salad, no coffee, no tea. Yeah.
Wine?
Huh?
Wine?
Wine?
Or beer?
I don't know. They talk about, well, probably all, because they only have chung, so that's why they talk about beer. Maybe red wine.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe red wine. Yeah. So like that. So this is taking good care of yourself, starting to get to know this. So not necessarily you have a heart problem because you hear your heart pounding, or you know, like this. It can be, it's called lung.
Even if it doesn't happen during meditation?
Yeah, also. It's also when, because they say we have winds in the body, downward moving winds, which are there to discharge the things we don't need anymore, upwards moving winds, which keep you alive. So when the upwards moving winds are too strong, like lower part is water, up here is wind, when that is too strong, this is why you cry so easily when you have lung, because the water comes out of your eyes.
And why do you have lung? What triggers it, or what?
Probably pushing too hard. You know, we Westerners, we're very good at pushing too hard because we're such perfectionists. We want to do it shorter than the Tibetans and immediately and this and that.
But
Yeah.
This is Tibetan medicine or what?
Uh-huh. Yeah. We don't know how to relax also.
But is there a Western
Like
equivalent to lung, like
Stress?
without, like if you like burnout, could it be also
Burnout,
lung?
stress, yeah.
Similar thing.
So I think here we would call it stress, burnout probably. You know, lung can be very, very strong, where you have pain and you really think that you're dying.
Yeah.
I also had it once, and I didn't know it. I really thought I was dying, but because I'm Swiss, it was in a Vipassana retreat with Christopher Titmus in Bodh Gaya, and it was in the middle of the night. But because I'm so Swiss and I'm not going to disturb anybody in the middle of the night, this is what we learned, you know, you wait until it's morning, even you're dying. So I didn't tell anybody. And in the morning it was gone.
Yeah.
In the morning it was gone. So, but if I would have maybe not been Swiss, I would have said, I need to go emergency hospital, all this, because it's really, really painful. And it's only afterwards, when I got to know the Tibetans, I understood what was happening, because I was pushing very hard in that Vipassana retreat.
And does it mean that it happens very often to me that does it mean I should like stop?
Yeah. You should relax. and relax in, not just lying any old way. You can just to make sure that the body is always open and always relaxed. And this, as I said, I don't know how you found it when you breathe with your whole body. Did you find that it creates a bit of space when you imagine that? I find that very helpful. Just sit down and breathe with your whole body, or because the lung sits here usually, then you breathe in, you feel the tension, and you breathe out, you just open up and you give it space. Or you can do many things. Also, what I find very helpful, if you lie somewhere, you lie down and you listen to some Tibetan flute music from Nawang Kekchuk. Well, of course, I know the person, so just thinking of him makes me smile. So anyway, but it's very peaceful music, and you just lie down and you imagine the empty sky of Tibet, for example, or Australia or New Zealand or whatever. Just space. You need space, and do less things. Try to reduce your activities, not the fun ones, but the stressful ones, if you can. Yeah, many people suffer from that, I think, in the West.
Sadness can also cause lung.
Yeah. Although sadness is not necessarily a negative thing. See, sadness, we need to address that sadness, because life is sad. Yeah, that's what the Buddha says. It's like we have so much struggle and so much work for all the wrong things. And life is difficult. So sadness shows us, hey, something is wrong. So then if we address it, then we go to the point of, again, we come to Shantideva. You can change something, change it. You can't change anything. It's no point to be sad. No point to be upset. He talks about upsetness. There's no point to be upset about something you can change it. There's no point to be upset about something that you can't change. So it sounds so simple and so profane, but we forget. We think getting upset gives us more energy, because of course when you are tight here, it seems to give you some push and some energy, but it's not healthy. Yeah. Sadness is okay. Sadness breaks the heart, and our heart should break open. Because inside our heart is so beautiful, but we're afraid to break that very strong kind of protection around it. Yeah. So sadness is okay. It's very human to be sad. Not, pathetically sad, or everything is so terrible, but to feel that, hey, come on, that we sit down from time to time also and ask ourselves, hey, what is wrong? To listen to ourselves also. Because all the things we do, to be somebody that we're not, and to succeed all the time, to be so afraid of mistakes that we're making, thinking that everything I do has to be a success. And we put ourselves under a lot of pressure. And then we're not authentic anymore. Yeah, and then people don't trust us, no wonder. Because we're not showing our vulnerability. And now they talk a lot about resilience. Yeah, it's like this is the big thing now, it's resilience. 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 And then people think resilience is being strong. No, resilience is admitting that we're vulnerable. There's this, I'm sure you know Brené Brown, who talks about empathy, resilience, shame, guilt, all this. It's very helpful. It's very good the way she has a lot of humor also. You can see a lot of TED Talks by her. I think, what did she do? The Perfection of Being Imperfect or something like that. I think she.
What's her name again?
Brené Brown. Not René, but Brené. Brené Brown. Just be yourself. It's good enough. And we don't, the thing is also in the West, maybe because, we talked about conditioning, we're not trusting our nature of goodness. Our nature is goodness, and we're not trusting it. And we're afraid of being exploited, and people will take advantage of it, and blah, 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 and this and that, and then we close up. Yeah. But our nature is goodness. You're good people. Do you believe it? Yeah, it's very soothing. Also when you are not, because usually then we put ourselves under stress. I can't do this I did wrong. I won't have to do this. So when you just sit down and think, I'm a good person. Not because. No reason. That's our nature. Now, of course, if I say this in Israel, people say, how do you know? It doesn't look like this in the world. I say, yeah, it's true. But the best answer I heard about this is from Bokar Rinpoche, when he said, why goodness is our nature? Because it feels good.
Sometimes.
Goodness feels really good.
Yes. It's not always here.
Huh?
It's not often here.
Yeah, that's not my fault.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like when this is our mirror neurons. When I see an old couple sitting on a bench, talking to each other, holding hands, I'm so moved. Because you can feel it's not sex, they really, really love each other. And I feel their goodness. When I see two people arguing, I don't feel good. This is why goodness is our nature, because it feels good. Whenever you see goodness, it feels good. Whenever you're in contact with your goodness, it feels good. The goodness of, I want you to be happy. May you be happy. May you be protected from physical and mental harm, whatever. Whenever I have that feeling towards somebody, this somebody doesn't even need to know me. This somebody doesn't need to feel that I'm having these thoughts. I feel good. When attachment comes in, but he's not happy, but he's suffering. It's my responsibility to make him happy. Then the goodness is closed again and the ego jumps in. Yeah. But just in a very simple way. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be protected from physical and mental harm. So simple. And we start with ourselves, actually. We can do this at the end. But now I'll give you a break. Sorry to make you work so hard, you poor guys. I'm bad. Humor also, my gosh. If you're going to look at your own mind, you need humor to be able to laugh, to see all the crap that is in there. All the things we totally believe, and it's total crap. And we're so intelligent. So please have a break. It's also good, like, now we're sitting here and we're waiting. So it's also good to see when there's this concept of waiting in the mind, how it feels inside. So we should stop waiting and not to see it a waste of time when we have to wait for somebody, but just an opportunity to just go to the body, do some breathing meditation, relax. Like that, because all of us, who knows, might be waiting for death, being in the bed, not being able to do anything. And so if we haven't learned to be inactive now, when we have opportunity, if we don't train it now, then it will become, again, very, very difficult. So every opportunity when somebody comes late is really good to learn how to wait skillfully.
Never happens here, though, not just kidding.
It never happens in Switzerland. I have to wait when I ring the bell here and we come to listen. But it's like, because when this concept of I'm waiting for somebody, then we're tense again. When the concept I'm meditating is like, it's okay, we're totally relaxed. So every time somebody comes late, you have the opportunity to wait skillfully, to practice, am I relaxed? This is the main point, to really check the body. And also this body awareness is like, it's so helpful, it's so good. Yeah, especially when you are with dying people also, you need to know what's going on with you when you listen to them or when you're sitting with them, because if you're not okay, there's no way you can help them. I have a lot of notes here that I usually have, and then I don't use them, but I just found some because we talked about sadness and grief. I have one from Stephen Levin, who also wrote a very nice book about who dies. It's very, very nice. Also, then there's if you are, because who said you're going to palliative care? Yeah, you said somebody. Not you are, yeah. So you know Frank Ostaseski, yeah, the 5 Invitations. It's the one who started first hospice when it was the time of AIDS and all this in the 70s in San Francisco. Beautiful person, very beautiful book. It's about hospice work, and it's called the 5 Invitations. There's many books around that. Christine Longacker, also, I think, I can't remember the title of it, where she describes how she accompanied her husband from the first moment of diagnosis of cancer to when he died. Okay, so what is grief? All of us have grief to explore. The grief of incompletion, of not having what we wish, the loss of faith, or actually the loss of facade, the despair of no control in the shifting sands of impermanence, in the ever-varying winds of constant change in an unknown universe. It is the death of friends, the loss of one's pet as a child. It is good friends moving away and old pains returning. It is all the moments of feeling unloved. It's in the million abuses of those in power, or the fact that half the world goes to bed hungry. It is the impermanent body, it is the loss of faith, the fatigue of the struggle, it is the ordinary grief of our unfinished business, our daily dying out of life. It is all that remains unlived in the preciousness of this fleeting life. Very nice, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And they say grief is like not being able to let go. It's like they call it the burn, when you go climbing and you hold the rope. Rope burns, I think you call it in English, yeah? Then you cling, but you still have to let go, and then it's like if somebody pulls a rope through your hands and then you get burned. So that's what obsessive grief is. But it's okay. It's okay to be sad. When my dad died, I was terribly sad. So Josh, another monk, came and said, yeah, what do you want? He was 85 years old and everything is impermanent. I could have punched him in the face. It's not what I wanted to hear. Because through that message I heard, don't be sad. It's okay. This is not the Buddhist way, I loved my dad and I was attached to him. And he was my hero. It's like my mother not, but my father. Yeah, so I suffered, and because I knew this, I was, when was it? When did he die? 96. I'd already been practicing 6 or 7 years in the nun, and so everybody wanted to console me because I completely fell apart. Whenever I heard the name parent or father, I started crying, and I allowed myself to do that also, and the people were disturbed. They didn't like it. And so they wanted to console me, not because I was sad, because they couldn't bear that I was useless. So I said, okay, goodbye, I'm going into retreat. So I went into retreat, and after maybe a month and a half, the pain was gone. And it's never come back. Memory is still there. Yeah, still very nice there. But the pain of I have lost my dad. And I thought it might be a little bit not, because I was in India, and I thought, yeah, wait until you go home and then maybe you see things and this and that. And yeah, my sister-in-law, because my brother was already dead, and then my sister-in-law, she had kept a few things that were dear to him. She gave it to me, and I said, this is not my dad. This is just objects. If you want to sell them, you can sell them. And so that was it. So it's very helpful to allow the pain of grief, because then you see its nature. It comes in waves. Nobody is able to hold griefs for 24 hours without stopping. It comes and goes, it comes and goes, it comes and goes. When you see it goes, next time it comes, you have the confidence that it will go again. It will come again, but also it will go again. So to see the nature of things as shifting, as kind of moving, as not being permanent, not having any essence that cannot be changed. That's very, very helpful. Goes for any difficult emotions. But it's good to, it's good to train the mind to observe when the storm is not happening, because then you can go into the storm. If you only start doing it when there's storm going on in the chest or in the heart, you will crash, because you will not know, you will be overwhelmed by this whole thing. It's like learning how to drive in a Formula One car. You cannot. You have to, start with a small old car, and then you make a bump. It doesn't matter, and all this. But if the car is too powerful, then so this is why time to start is now. Okay. So I don't know. You'll have to see how you can share these few copies. I'm glad I took them, because I thought you'd have them all on your telephone or on your tablet or on your other. I still work with paper a lot. So you'll have to share.
Do we need it now? Or
Yeah, you need it now because we go through it. You can also just listen, but I think it's good if you just.
I don't know where it is.
You can also make a photograph. Yeah, this. See, I always forget. If you don't have a copy, make a photograph, and then you have a copy. Oh, there's other things underneath, I see. When you come to the most 10 now this is not it. Okay, this is something different. Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much.
You have one.
But you can do as Adrian did. You can just make a photograph and then you have a copy. Gosh, we don't even need copy machines anymore, isn't it? Okay, I sent all this to Talia, so you must be able to find it somewhere, because what I find very helpful is to have some drawings. So we have a...
Talk to Talia and I will send it to everybody tonight. I have your email address.
Okay, so we have a gross body, which is, what we see, but then we also have a more subtle body, which is the meridians. Everybody has heard about meridians. Do you know that there is meridians? No. We believe that there is meridian. I've never seen any meridian, but I believe that they exist. Here they call it energy channels. So the three main ones, we have three main ones. The main one, which is in the middle and goes down in front of the spine, is this one. Starts here, then it goes up and then goes in front of the spine until your sexual organ here, until the tip of your sexual organ. Then you have, so if that is, let's say if that is the main one, then you have two side channels. If you do yoga, you also know, which start at the tip of your nose. Okay, then also they go up and are besides, a little bit smaller besides that. If you look at these channels, the Tibetans say it looks like that, which is very intricate. Yeah. So the side channels where you have the chakras, these energy wheels, they lock the central channel like a bicycle tire that gets locked, and then they branch out. In a more simple way, it would look like this, like in the middle the central channel, and then these are the two channels at the side. Okay. So the mind is... Huh?
This is really cool. Where did you get these drawings? Is there a book or...
No.
Did you have somebody draw it or... I've never seen anything like that drawn.
It's from the 6 yogas of Naropa.
Oh, is it from the course or is it from the book?
From I think when Lama Yeshe gave this course, somebody drew it actually. So, but anyway, I made copies and I sent it to Talia. So because it's nothing secret. I mean, it's good to really see it.
Nice to have the visual because I read about it.
And it's drawn by hand in the 1970s probably. Yeah. So, but in order to
send it to everybody.
I think I did send it to her. Otherwise, I can send it to her. Like that. So, because what you do when you do these tantric practices and the 6 yogas of Naropa, you work with these energies, you bring them into the central channel, you move up and down and all these fun things actually. But you need to know what you're doing, because otherwise it can go totally wrong and you think you're awakened and you're definitely not. And then you're crazy. Yeah. So
This is like kind of Kundalini yoga. This is what
yes,
they say
yeah,
there's
exactly.
energy
Something
rises
similar.
in the central channel.
I don't know Kundalini, so I can't say it's exactly the same, but it sounds to me like what I heard similar. And with Kundalini, what happened is people couldn't bring it down anymore. You know, people being totally awake and totally this, and came to see me and said, what did I just say? I have no clue. You have to go and see the person that taught you to do that. You know, I don't know. Or people having a white light here that doesn't, like a flashlight, and doesn't kind of come out anymore. You have to go and see your teacher who taught you to do these meditations. We don't do these things. At least I don't do these things. Anyway, so at the time of death, the mind, who is kind of everywhere in the body, especially in these 72 energy channels, withdraws from these. You see, from these here the channels kind of branch out, and then it comes back. And first it goes to the side channels, yeah, which still lock here the thing, and then it goes then into the heart. And while it is doing that, you have certain visions and certain signs in your body. So for a while, you can actually see that the person is in the dying process. Also nurses who are very present when somebody dies, they can say, oh, no, it's still, they usually go with the heart. When the heart still beats very strong, they say, even though it looks as if the person is already gone, they say, no, it will last another day or two or whatever. So the chart that you have, it kind of explains that process, okay? So the body also is made up of elements, yeah? Which are, you can read it here. Earth, which is the solidity of the body, yeah? Like, you know, when the body has no mind, we're like a tree or a flower or whatever, with these 4 or 5 elements there. So the 4 elements we know, it's earth, water, fire, wind. This is what the body is, composition of these elements. Here they add another 2 elements, which is space. Yeah, the Western world only sees an element as something material, but space is also an element, and consciousness is another element. So when these elements, and if you know Ayurveda, when these elements are in harmony, we're healthy. But if they're not in harmony, then we start to get sick. And each of these elements has a function, like the earth element is supporting us, like the earth, yeah, holding us. Then the water element makes that the things don't break apart, yeah, like saliva and all this we have in the body, blood and urine and like the body liquids. Then the fire element, for example, digests the food. That's why we can eat salad, because we have fire in the stomach, which cooks it basically and transforms it. And this is why also the Tibetans, they're not so fanatic about salad, because it takes so much energy of the body to digest it. Yeah, they're not so for raw stuff. And then we have the wind, of course, which makes us, we can move, and then the breath. Yeah, when this kind of works together, then we're okay. So they start losing their power to do things, because they absorb one after the other, absorb in the sense of they don't function anymore. Okay, yeah. So the first element that loses its power is the earth element, and this is like the solidity in the body, and this is where you get this feeling as if you're falling, like the earth's not supporting you anymore. And somebody also said, yeah, my whoever it was who was dying kept grabbing on to, holding on to things, because there was this feeling, and just knowing this falling, just knowing that, because somebody else, her brother, was kind of also going on the way of going, and he opened his eyes in front and said, I'm falling. And she just said, because she had heard it, she said, yeah, it's normal. And he calmed down, he closed his eyes and he died. So if you can tell somebody who describes that they are falling, because you know this is normal, this happens because the earth element doesn't, even though you're lying on the bed, your mind, when the earth element loses its power, no, it sounds strange. You have a feeling of falling, like you have when you go to sleep. Has anybody had that experience? So you see, you're lying on the bed, yet you are convinced that you're falling into a pit, because the earth element of holding loses its power. That's how it starts. It can be also in different order, okay? It's not, but in general, it is a bit like this. Also, you have you become very weak and very powerless, and you can't move. We're so used to that we can move everything. Did you ever wake up at night and you couldn't move your arm or your leg? It's very comforting, isn't it? Is it? It's very frightening. Because with all your willpower, you want to move this hand, because it happened to me one night when I was sleeping on my arm. I couldn't move it. It's so frightening. And when we know it's normal, it's okay. We're not freaking out. We lose the control over the body. That's the first thing that we lose. Or what also can happen, you cannot open your eyes, or you cannot close them anymore. And sometimes even in the morning already, I have to go like that. Not because I drank a lot last night, don't drink anymore, but just because I can't open my eyes by themselves. So again, if you think you're sick or whatever, no, it's okay. And also it's not the first signs of death. It's okay. It comes with age. It's okay. Then also the senses kind of lose their power one after the other. So your eyes get like, how many of you have done the mind module? Okay. Yeah. So you remember the 6 consciousnesses that, like we did this morning, the meditation. We need an eye in order to see something, like an organ that works. We need light and shape and color, but we also need a consciousness behind that recognizes that. And here, these consciousnesses also, the very gross consciousnesses absorb. Yeah, the sense consciousnesses are very gross. They're not very subtle. They don't understand much. They understand shape and color, the eye consciousness. Okay, and it's very good to see. This happens also when we go to sleep. Now our eyes are usually closed, but there are people who sleep with their eyes open, especially children sometimes. And you can go like this, and nothing happens, because they don't see. Because the eye is still open, but the eye consciousness is gone. Okay? Ja, ich soll das sagen. Wir können es so machen. So.
I think sometimes it happens too when I'm reading. I'm really sleepy, but I really want to finish the chapter or something like this. But the book
it comes blurry.
Like a mirage.
Yeah. Exactly. It comes because actually when we are, people say I'm afraid of death because I have to go alone. Every night we go alone into that dream world, and we're not afraid. It's okay. Every night we go to an unknown place. We don't know where we're going with our dreams. But it's all right. We don't need to be afraid. Yeah, so that's good to know. So this we can do, at night. So and so these absorptions happen every night to the clear light. But then the conscious, because the body still is the vessel for the mind, it doesn't leave the body. Consciousness doesn't leave the body. Therefore, death doesn't occur. But these absorptions, it happens when we go to sleep. But then because we're unconscious, then we don't notice. It happens also when you faint. How many of you have fainted? Okay. You might recognize a few things. So like that. But then also the outside vision gets blurred, or we don't see anything anymore. But with each absorption, we have an inner vision, they say. And here the inner vision is like the appearance of a mirage. So a mirage is when you drive in Fata Morgana, when you drive in the desert, and in the distance it looks like water. Anybody has seen that? It looks like totally real water, doesn't it? Because of the conditions. Yeah, not because there's water there, but because of the conditions. And this is what happens. Because I think because here the earth element absorbs into the next element, which is the water element. Right? So the water element kind of becomes stronger, and this is why you see water. And one dying person has said, I'm just repeating what people tell me. But the thing is, people who tell me that is people who didn't know about these absorptions, didn't know about these appearances, but found it strange that the dying person was saying that. So one father in hospital, Singapore, said, dry up the puddles on the ground. There was no puddles on the ground. Yeah, so he saw water. Another one, next one had smoke coming out of the bedpost. There's no smoke. But the people see that. So when a dying person starts to explain things, don't try to convince them that's not what they're seeing. It just makes them upset. Yeah.
What did you do when the person said dry up the puddles? Did you?
Well, then I wasn't there.
Oh.
And so I don't know. And the person he didn't know about this. Like, I think if I am with somebody who says, oh, I see water on the floor, I say, yeah, it's normal, but it's just an illusion. It's okay. But you see it. I know that you see it. Yeah. And then we can say, and next one you will see this one. Yeah, for example. It is rare that people describe these things, but because I have so much contact with other people and they're listening to what I'm saying, and then they go, this is why. Yeah. Of things that before they didn't understand. This is why I can repeat it, but it doesn't mean I've been there when these people have said it. This is why I'm saying I'm just repeating it. Yeah.
May I share this? When my father died, I was with him, and his last few minutes, he was very weak and white in his face. He suddenly had so much in it that he could come up with the top part of his body and both hands like this. And he said, Margaret. Margaret is the name of his mother.
Okay.
Margaret.
Yeah.
And then he flipped his legs out of the bed, and he said, waiter. And that was the what you call it?
The nurse. Yeah.
That was a man. He said, waiter, bring me Hemd und Hose.
Yeah.
That means my shirt
I want to
and
go.
my trousers.
Yeah.
Ich weet hij.
Genau.
I want to go home.
Yeah, I want to go home. Yeah.
And then I didn't know what to, I was alone.
Yeah. Oh, just leave it. That's
know
fine.
What to do.
That's
and
okay.
He had all this, was flying all these things that were connected to him. They were all gone.
Yeah.
And then the waiter came.
The waiter came, brought him his Hemd und Hose. Yeah. It seems it seems as if they really see something that is comforting them.
Yes.
Now, what I've seen is like, I didn't know what she saw, but it was like, yeah, something that is close to us. So
it was not this black hole. In the contrary, it was something lovely. His mother coming to fetch.
Yeah, but we don't know what happened afterwards. So it's like,
No.
So again, it can be very conscious. It can be very quick. It can last days. It can, feel this. It's not necessarily a black hole. It's a feeling of falling, as if the earth does not support you anymore here. Yeah. So it's not that it's with everybody like this, but it could be like that, and it could be that they are kind of voicing it, that we know it. It could be that they are just experiencing it, but we don't know where they are, what they because here it's really like the last. Depends a bit also on the state of the body, and it depends on many things.
But do you think that my grandmother was astic?
Was there? I don't know.
In her soul, was she there?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. I don't think so. For Buddhist terms, one would say that she was definitely, her mind is already reborn. She's in outer space. She's not locked somewhere in that eternal. This is the difference. When you have Christian paradise and hell, it's eternal. It's forever. Yeah. Whereas in Buddhism, it's occasional, and then you come out of it and you go somewhere else. I don't know.
How long do you stay in it until you get reborn?
Yeah.
How long?
At the most 49 days.
So fast.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. The main thing is that it helped him.
But I think also as the energy, memory, imprint in our
Everything
mind, that
together.
person stays,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? So it's somehow making contact with that.
Of course. Yeah, yeah. It's, many things come
also
together.
I suppose.
Many things. And I think you see things that you are Ciao, Sandra. Großem Tom. And I think you see things that you're familiar with, you know, because the Tibetans, they then start, when the body is in the intermediate state, they start to say, then you see this deity and that deity. If you're not familiar with it, I doubt. It's like, many people say that near-death experiences, they say they saw Jesus, for example, because that's what they're familiar with, or relatives who are waiting for them, but then they got a message, they have to come back, and there's many things happening, because the mind becomes very subtle and doesn't depend on the senses anymore. This is why they see more things than we do, like in a dream. In a dream, the things look very real, although nothing is there. Now, is it real? Is a dream real? No, but it exists and it has a function. So the same thing. Yeah, and what we dream is also based, as you say, experiences, memories, what we have contact with, what mind state we're in, and so on.
But there's some I suppose mind reality to it, because we were just talking to Stefan about lucid dreaming, and he said that there is some research done that, like, if you have many people who are familiar with this concept of lucid dreaming, and they can meet in a dream and talk about something, and then without having any contact, the researchers were talking to the different people, and they were all able to report what they talked about. So
Yeah. I mean, the Tibetans, when they're really good at doing dream yoga, they leave the body and go somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
No. I mean, our mind would be so much more powerful than we think. Yeah. No. Definitely. Yeah. That we can connect on much more subtler levels than just by mouth and here and like this. And we know that, even though you're not lucid dreaming or whatever, we can feel people's vibes, even though they're far away somewhere. This whole thing, I was just thinking of you, when somebody calls, because we're much more connected than we think. It's just that we limit ourselves. Okay, so you have this appearance of mirage. So the next element that absorbs is the water element. So I'm not so much going into aggregate and all this, because if you don't know what it is, it becomes very complicated. You just do the main points. So at this point, your saliva and your sweat, your urine dries up. Your body becomes very dry. This also happens sometimes at night. You wake up and you feel your mouth is very dry, isn't it? And it's very unpleasant. So when you know that it's normal, then that's fine. This is why also it's quite helpful for dying people, if you have something just to wet their lips, not for them to drink, but just to wet their lips. This is always the first thing. At this point, which is quite good to know, we kind of lose the feeling of pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, which has to do with the body. So this also, for the pain, you're not so much, you might have pain, but you don't experience it as unpleasant. So we don't have to be so afraid of that. It's like, we lose this, it's pleasant, unpleasant, and attachment and aversion and all this. And you have an appearance of smoke. Like smoke would appear, and also the hearing goes. Because why smoke? Because the water element absorbs into the fire element. So when you pour water on fire, it makes smoke. Kind of makes sense, this whole thing. And this also, when you're falling asleep, maybe in front of the TV, or something is happening, or the neighbors are having a party, ear is still open, but you don't hear anymore. Because the ear consciousness absorbs, and you have that appearance of smoke. When we do the practice day, we'll do the meditations. I'll have you lie down, and then you will probably fall asleep, which is okay. It's a good way of going to sleep, by visualizing these appearances.
And what happens to the smell sensation?
It's coming. Okay, the next element that absorbs is the fire element. I'm on the next page. So it's the body worms that start to retract towards the heart. So that means the limbs can feel very cold, but the dying person itself does not feel cold. Sometimes they're very hot and you see them throwing everything off. Even though you think they're cold, don't cover them again, just leave them. You know, this is the main thing, is that you can calm them down. Because when the fire element absorbs when the water element absorbs into the fire element, heat can become very strong in the body. And you have that sometimes when you're a very good meditator also, and you start to absorb, like the senses. Sometimes also there's this big heat coming. So that's what it is. Okay, so nothing to worry.
What does this word really mean? That the element absorbs into another element?
Huh?
To imagine, what does it mean that it absorbs?
It loses its power for example, the water to cool down and to keep wet.
But within the energy, like on the energy level, what happens within the channels? It all goes into, like it absorbs in the sense that it dissolves in the next element, so to speak.
Yeah, kind of. Like the next element becomes stronger. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the balance of the element goes. It's not something visual, because you're still lying on the bed. Still, you have a feeling of falling. Visual can be that you see that the body liquids are drying up. This you can see. You know, they lose their power of coming. Saliva comes by itself when you are alive, but then it just does. It's not produced anymore. Then here, when the fire absorbs, body heat is not produced anymore. The body becomes very cold, and it's you can feel that if you touch the dying person, here it's still warm. This is the last part that gets cold. Yeah, and it's
Because of the heart.
Because of the subtle energy going into here, they say, because even though the heart stopped beating, this area can still be warm. That means the subtle consciousness is still in the body. Yeah, the person seems to be dead, clinically dead, but the subtle energy is still there. That's why the body does not decay. So this is how you can check. You can check a few ways whether the person is really dead. But they don't feel anything anymore because the senses have absorbed. They're not kind of connected to the outside world.
Question on the elements. Would you say it's more about them being in balance, or is it so that
they lose the power?
Yeah, but you're kind of talking, if I understand correctly, there's also some sort of sequence. So kind of one element loses power and then is absorbed by the other. So is it so that the underlying ones are stronger than the one above?
Yeah.
So that the one above is kind of weaker, loses its strength. So the first one being Earth, right? Earth is the weakest one. Is then absorbed by water.
No, they each have a different function, isn't it?
So it's all about it's mostly about the balance of the five. It's not
that all five have to be present for us to be able to function. Yeah, but then they lose the power. The earth loses the power to support us. This is why we have a feeling of falling. Yeah, the water element absorbs, it doesn't wet the body anymore. The fire element, it doesn't warm the body anymore. Then the wind element, we can't breathe anymore.
I understand, but why would it have to follow the sequence? It would have to.
It's not necessarily that it's in that sequence.
Okay.
Also, it can change. But this is the sequence that in all the 4 schools that they give. Okay, but all the lamas also say can be that it's different in different sequence. And if it is death by accident, it can go very quickly. It goes tuck, 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 and the consciousness out. Can last up to 3 days. And as I was in Bulgaria, we have the Root Institute where we had a hospice. And so sometimes we had dying people there. And if people in the course, if they wanted to go and sit next to them, sometimes you could see where they are or what is happening. Yeah.
So when the elements absorb into the subtle mind, then...
we're not at the subtle mind yet. We're still with the sense consciousnesses here.
I know.
So one sense consciousness after the other absorbs.
But then they in the process of the person being reborn, do they then again come out of the subtle? So
yeah, then it goes reverse.
From the subtle mind. They don't come from the parents, the elements.
Huh?
The elements don't come from the parents, the energies. They come from the subtle mind.
Well, okay. You have the subtle wind and you have the subtle mind that go to the next life. Mm-hmm. And the subtle wind holds the potential to become a body. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the elements, the physical elements, of course, they come from the parents.
Yeah. But the winds then come from that.
Exactly. So there's there's body and mind are always, it's always the two, but then it goes into the tantric things. So the subtle wind and subtle mind are together. It's not just the subtle mind. But then these elements become the subtle wind. They're absorbed all of them into the subtle wind.
Thank you.
It's difficult to understand, isn't it? Because we're so used to this body functioning and like that. But then you also see when somebody's in deep sleep, you can take the arm and go like this. It just goes back down again. So that's the earth element is not there anymore to hold it up. Yeah. So. And here you have an appearance of fireflies or sparks within the smoke when the fire element absorbs into the air element. Because when you blow into the fire, then you have sparks. Yeah. And now with the fainting, it's like I used to faint when I was 20, just like this. And I kind of liked it because just after coming back, I had this incredible space. And I felt really, and you're nodding, and I felt really good. But because I came out of the clear light, now I understand. But then you see the faces around you, you're lying on the floor and people being worried. Then you go, oh, it happened again. But if I would have understood what's happening there, because this is exactly what it is, you feel like everything becomes very soft. It's like nothing supports you anymore. The sound goes, and then you have these fireflies. Also, when you have low blood pressure and you get up very quickly, you see these fireflies in front of her. And then usually when I didn't go any further than that consciously, because then I plunged. Yeah. And when you come back, because you are probably going through the other dissolutions as well, you are in this clear light, where it's just space and there's no I. Everything, all the thoughts have dissolved, and you feel this space when you just come back because you don't know who you are. Yeah. But then it goes very quickly because then it's like ego jumping in again. Can you relate to that?
Yes, I have a home in Bali, and I go get this massage, and at the end of an hour and 15-minute massage, every time he stops the blood that goes to my brain, and he sort of, I faint for a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
He does, and it's exactly that kind of feeling that you get.
It's kind of spooky, serious.
It's a technique, Javanese technique.
Oh, wow. I've never heard of that.
Sorry, are you serious that's the goal?
I trust him. I have full trust in him.
Yeah, it's fine.
But he's trying to induce that.
No, he does it. Yeah, he induces it.
Yeah. I think it's a good experience actually, because to feel that spaciousness when you come back, when there's no, because the thoughts are stopped, so you have that space. Yeah, all the concepts that kind of veil nature are gone.
Like a drug experience.
Yeah, for example, also. Here the smell goes at this point. They say like the nose consciousness absorbs, so then you cannot smell anymore. The next that absorbs is the wind element. So here, like all the winds have moved into the side channels and are going then slowly then come into the central channel. So here you would, when you stop breathing, you would probably be declared dead. But the consciousness is still in the body. Yeah, it's only the sense consciousnesses that connect us to the world that are not functioning anymore. Yeah, like eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, and here taste consciousness and touch consciousness. And you have a feeling of, or you have a vision like a very big room with only one candle burning, and it's kind of fluttering like this, sputtering a bit. That's what the appearance would be. But since, for example, since the aggregate of discrimination, this mental factor that we see, this is different from that, already has lost its power, also your mind is already kind of a bit gone. Like you have people maybe around you, you don't know who they are, what you are doing here, they say. And so the mind, the gross mind with thoughts and concepts on that really the kind of withdraws at this point. Yeah. Okay, so then the next one is, and from here now, the mind goes into more subtle, like the body is finished, like the body that we need the sense consciousness, we need a body for the sense consciousness to work because it needs an organ, but now it comes into more just mind stuff. And they say from here, because there's nothing to hold on to anymore, so from here the mind becomes more and more peaceful and open and and nice. So the winds from who are now in the side channels, they come up. They all, this is the bottom. They all move up. First the ones above the heart, they move to the crown, and then they enter the central channel at the crown. And you can, when you do tantra and things like that, you can do meditations on these chakras and channels, but you need to have really good explanation, and you need to be really wanting enlightenment, because otherwise it can go terribly wrong. Really, I would warn you, because you open up stuff that you don't really know what can happen. So this is why it's not dangerous per se, but you need to know what you're doing, because you're working with these, same as Kundalini, you're working with these energy winds, with these energies. It's very pleasant. This is the thing. Yeah. So then, like, because because these side channels that wrap around the central channel, the energy from them goes out, the central channel opens, because the pressure of them is not there anymore. Yeah, if you have, it's like letting out the air in bicycle tires that are wrapped around something, then so that one opens, and then the winds from above the heart come to the crown, and they say we have a white drop here, which is also, it's not a physical drop. That they say comes from the Father, and as long as this white drop is up here, we are alive. We have a red drop from the Mother, which is at the navel. Yeah, as long as these two drops are separate, then we are alive. When they come together, this is the moment of death. Okay, so these winds, they say, push this white drop downwards towards the heart chakra. And then we have a vision, and this is what many people with near-death experience also describe, like white light. It says a very clear vacuity filled with white light. Not a direct source of light, but more, they say, like the moon, the full moon reflecting on freshly fallen snow from Tibet. Yeah. If you would be from the desert, you would probably say reflecting on the sand or something like that. Okay, then the energy winds who are in the side channels, they enter the central channel at the bottom, like at the base of your spine, and then they push that red drop upwards, and then you have a vision of like the sun set, like a little bit copper red light. But you're not, all your concepts pretty much have dissolved. So you're not saying, now I'm seeing white light. Now I'm seeing red light. It just happens. Yeah. And they say with these, when the energy channels when the winds from the energy channels go into the central channel, the concepts go. They talk about 80 concepts that come from either desire or aversion and ignorance. They dissolve. So this dualistic thinking of I am having an experience which needs thoughts disappears. And then we become oneness with the experience. We become the experience. There's not a separate experiencer who experiences that. You're just the experience. Exactly what that is, I don't know. But anyway, this is how they explain it. Okay? So you have this very clear vacuity filled with red light. Then these two drops, white drop, red drop, they meet at the heart. They lock together, and then you have the tunnel vision, like total darkness, total blackness. And they say there you feel like you're fainting. But again, it's not like, it's more instinctive kind of fainting, and then you feel this kind of, the ego comes again, like grasping at existence, and this is where we activate the seed for our next existence. This fainting, going, and this is it. When you are having this feeling of falling, when you wake up, try to see next time, is the mind grasping or is it relaxed?
Grasping.
Totally grasping, isn't it? Who am I? Where am I? Why? This is it. This is how we activate the karma. In the 12 links where it says craving, grasping. And what kind of karmic imprint? This is at the beginning of this process, what mind state we are in. Yeah. So we feel like falling and then it's, yeah. But still, these drops, they dissolve. Again, it's not physical, but they dissolve into this very undestructible drop that is the subtle wind at the center of the heart. This is why I'm pointing here all the time, because they say this is where it's residing. It's residing in the heart chakra. And then you have what is called the clear light of death, where everything is okay. It's just open space. There's no I experiencing the open space. Who of you is a good skier? Oh, the Swiss are so modest. Oh, very good. Thank you. Me also. Was, not anymore. I was. But you remember, Johanna, you have days. You go on your skis, your total oneness with the skis, the boots, the snow, everything. There's nobody skiing. There is just skiing. And you don't need to think, everything goes well. Goes for surfing, goes for painting, goes for dancing, goes for anything else. Then because it's so pleasant. Wow, grasping, finished. Yeah, this is the clear light of death that people describe with near-death experiences because they're not dead yet. They can come back because consciousness is still in the body. This is what they describe as being very pleasant. I understood something there, but I don't know what it was. And what I understood, I definitely did not want to come back. This is what most of them say. So they come from this very, very pleasant state of total openness, total painlessness, total lack of suffering, back into the dying, injured body, which somebody said was like hell. Not you, I'm still alive. It was like, I didn't want to come because it's so pleasant. Yeah. But because this karmic imprint has already been activated here with the grasping, we can't stay there. And then the subtle consciousness riding on this very subtle wind, as they say, goes out. You can't see it. It's not that the brain opens and then flies out or something like that. Goes into, it's just energy, right? Goes, not even energy, it's total not material. Yeah, goes into what is called the bardo, the intermediate state. Looks desperately for a body because we're so used to have a body. We need a body for our identity. Are your dreams usually very happy or are they usually stressed? Mine are totally stressed most of the time. Totally stressed. I used to lie a lot. Now I just exaggerate. So it was like, I'm confused. I'm so confused in my dreams. It goes here, then it goes there. Then I lose my passport. Then I miss the train. Then it's like I have to clean something. It doesn't become clean. It's like I have a lot of activity in my dream. But it jumps from one thing to the other. I can't concentrate. And that's the bardo state. That's this intermediate state. The mind looking for some identity for somebody can't find. So they say it just usually takes whatever is available quite quickly and like this. And then it would go with rebirth, it would go the reverse order. From the clear light, you go to the black appearance, the tunnel thing. Then you go to the red appearance, then to the white one, then to the flickering candle, then to the sparks, then to the smoke, then to the mirage. And then you come back again. Then there's rebirth. So this process of death going into the clear light. Death is only when you're in the clear light. Intermediate state, which is called the bardo, this state between death and actual rebirth from a womb, for example, when sperm and egg come together, the consciousness enters it, and then you grow into the womb. And so the bardo state, this intermediate state, in-between state, is very confusing, like a dream that you can't wake up. There's a lot of fear there. Or sometimes also they say can be very happy when you activated a kind of a good seed. So like this. Then you're reborn.
A good seed?
Huh?
When you activate a good
seed? Good karmic seed. like, you know, with a positive mind state. For example, dying with the mind that says, doesn't matter where I'm going to be reborn, but may I be of benefit to others, is a very positive mind state. Or may my death not cause too much suffering for those who stay behind, instead of, help me, I'm suffering. Yeah, not concentrated on you, but like being with others. That would be activating a positive seed, which leads you to a good rebirth, where you can continue with the practice, or taking refuge. You know, we'll do that tomorrow, where to put the mind when you are dying. Okay? This is quite unique in Tibetan Buddhism. Now you can say, okay, who said that? I don't trust it. This is total fantasy. Maybe. I don't know. But it's definitely very helpful. And you train these stages when you do tantric practices, because you absorb into emptiness. So you go. You train these stages.
Oh, you train.
By visualizing them, and this is what we'll do. So your mind becomes familiar with it. And then when yogis die, very good meditators, they are clinically dead, they're not breathing, they're sitting, and the body is not decaying anymore. They can stay in the clear light to make their minds familiar with that natural state of clear light. And I've seen it, so. Yeah, in Dharamsala. Also, August, hot, humid, 13 days. Geshe Topten. He was dead, but did not decay.
He was sitting?
You can, he was lying, but that's okay. But there's some who are sitting. You can, there used to be on New Zealand television news, a report on that. It's, his name is Tushita Rinpoche, I think. Maybe you still find it on YouTube. And there is a team of doctors and scientists, and there's this dead body, and they check it every day. You know, the skin doesn't become loose, the hair doesn't fall out, because if you leave a dead body for a long time, the hair falls out. And so I think it was 15 days or something that they had it on the television in New Zealand.
Could you please repeat his name?
Tushita Rinpoche, I think is his name. Thubten. Tushita Rinpoche. So you see, if you can go through this consciously, and you're in the clear light, this is your ticket out of samsara, because you realize emptiness, and you're not going to be reborn under the control of negative emotions.
Oh, so that's why that's why through Tantra you can.
That's why it becomes the quick path.
Oh, because at death, that's when you realize emptiness.
Yeah, when you are going through these stages consciously, when you have practiced them in your daily life, and you go, okay, I'm there now. What's next? Is this? I mustn't miss. And then the sentence that you learn: I mustn't miss the clear light. I mustn't miss the clear light.
So it's not that you do Tantra and then you become enlightened while you're alive.
Can also, but because the clear light appears naturally at the time of death. So they say the moment when the mother clear light, our natural clear light, meets the sun clear light at the time of death, then you have also a chance. Yeah, no, you can also actualize it while you're still alive. But at the time of death, the natural clear light happens spontaneously. I think I also gave to Talia, there is by the first Dalai Lama, there's a text which is called Saving or Protecting from the Perilous States of Rebirth, Death, and Death, Bardo, and Rebirth, something. And it's a very nice, almost poetic thing, which has about 17 verses, I think, which describes what happens, what you should do in your life, then what you do when you are about to die, when you're dying, when these things happen, and then how to be reborn in what, they say best, of course, is a Buddha, second best, at least be a monk or a nun, if you want that. I don't know if I have it printed out here. I had too many things. Anyway, we have still tomorrow, so it's a very nice text, and I sent it to her with the root verses, and also then there's a book from the Dalai Lama with some small explanations for each verse from the Dalai Lama. We typed it out and then I found it. So what it says, it says things, may we remember instructions for practice when doctors forsake us and rites are of no avail. Friends have given up hope for our life and we are left with nothing else to do. May we have the confidence of joy and delight when food and wealth accumulated with miserliness are left behind and we separate forever from cherished and longed for friends going alone to a perilous situation. May we generate a powerful mind of virtue when the elements, earth, water, fire, wind, dissolve in stages and physical strength is lost, mouth and nose dry and pucker, warmth withdraws, breath are gasped, and rattling sounds emerged. When the fire element absorbs, it's very difficult to breathe in and very easy and very long to breathe out. And sometimes the dying people, they make this kind of sound and goes like, and it's very frightening when you don't know it's normal. And the doctors say the dying person has no discomfort. Yeah. Then may we realize the deathless mode of being when various mistaken appearances, frightful and horrible, and in particular mirage, smoke and fireflies appear, and the mouths of the 80 indicative conception cease. This is where, when we said, from the side channel, it absorbs into the central channel, and the 80 conceptions cease. You see, when you know this thing, and you read this, you understand. If you don't know this, you have no clue what you're reading. Yeah. May we generate strong mindfulness and introspection when the wind constituent begins to dissolve into consciousness and the external continuum of breath ceases, coarse dualistic appearances dissolve, and an appearance like a burning bottle lamp dawns. That's what the sputtering bottle lamp when we stop breathing. Yeah? May we know our own nature ourselves through the yoga, realizing cyclic existence and nirvana as empty. Both of them are empty. The mother that comes to get you, she is empty, doesn't exist from her own side, merely labeled. The mother that exists in your real life is also merely labeled. Like, everything is empty. But when we see that it's empty, it becomes pure and the suffering is gone. What lies at the root of our suffering is that we don't understand reality, that we don't see that both of them are just projections. This is the problem. We see something as just a projection in a dream and then it becomes not real. It's too much we reject there. Yeah. And then in life, everything is totally real because I can feel it. In my dream, I can also I feel pain in my dream. Yeah. Now, when the mother and child clear light meets, when near attainment dissolves into the all empty and all conceptual multiplication cease, and an experience like autumn sky free from pollution conditions dawn, may we be set in one pointed profound meditation in the exalted wisdom of joined innate bliss and emptiness during the 4 empties upon the melting of the moon-like white constituent by the fire of the lightning-like powerful female, the white and the red robe coming together. May we complete in place of intermediate state the concentrated meditation of illusion, so that upon leaving the clear light, we rise in a body of complete enjoyment, blazing with the glory of a Buddha's marks and beauties, arisen from the mere wind and mind in the clear light of death. If due to karma an intermediate state is established, may erroneous appearances be purified through immediately analyzing and realizing the absence of inherent existence of the suffering of birth, death, and intermediate state. Then may we be born in a pure land through the yoga of transforming the external and internal and secret when various signs, 4 sounds of the reversal of the elements, 3 frightful appearances and uncertainties appear. Then may we be reborn with the supreme life support of the Tantra practitioner using the sky or the body of a monastic or lay practitioner possessing the 3 practices. So like when I don't realize the clear light, okay, may I then realize emptiness when I go into the intermediate state? If I don't realize it there, may I at least be reborn as a human, like with the basis in order to be able to practice Tantra, or the basis to become monk or a nun, possessing the 3 practices, And may we complete the realizations of the path of the 2 stages of generation and completion, thereby attaining quickly Buddha's bodies, truth, complete enjoyment, and emanation. It's a very nice, the whole thing, life, death, intermediate state, rebirth, everything is on these 2 pages. And you should, I think I did send it also to Talia with the small explanations of the Dalai Lama, what it means. Hi, Jeff. We are, I think, we have just died. Yeah.
I was listening.
So we need to go into the clear light. From the clear light, now we need to go out into daily life. Okay, so it might have been very confusing because it's a lot that you heard today. But it's okay, you know. If you are interested in this, you will read up things, you will listen to it again. It's impossible to understand this the first time. And if you're not interested, also it doesn't matter if you didn't understand, because then you didn't understand. If it was a waste of time today, I'm sorry, but at least you didn't do anything negative. You know, you didn't upset anybody, you didn't hurt anybody, unless you sent some messages in the meantime, which you were not supposed to do. Maybe it is of some help, maybe not. If it's not of help, I hope it's at least not of any harm. Yeah. Okay? So who knows, you know, maybe once you are, even you don't come back or you never look at this again. When you are with a dying person, who knows, maybe some of this comes, and then you are able, then you at least calm down because you know it's normal. Or when you are dying yourself, you might remember that and you go, I must miss the clear light. Because the clear light, that is the nature, but the clear light is also empty. Yeah. So thank you very much for listening. If you are coming back tomorrow, what we're looking at is, as I'm saying, we're looking at a few things that the Buddhist practices or prayers, where to put the mind, what to familiarize yourself with already now so that it works at the time of death. Somebody can read it to you, it clicks something. When Ani Ursula died in Dharamsala, she was, I think, one of the first nuns. She was very close to the Dalai Lama. Because, you know, when she became a nun, you could walk in and out. There was no tourists and nothing. So she had dementia before she died. Like even, you know, meditation is not even preventing you from having dementia. So forget about that one. And so she was also looking for stray dogs. She had a lot of stray dogs in her house. So stray dogs. So I knew her, the person who took care of her while she was old, sick, dying. And so the Dalai Lama, I think, called her to give her instructions what to do, like what to do with Ursula when she's dying. And he said, when you see these signs, eyes not opening anymore, body being very weak, you know, limbs not moving, take the dogs out, take them away, because the attachment to the dogs could be that she's going to be reborn as a puppy. Of one of these dogs, and make sure that she sees a Buddha statue. Yeah, so Ani Ursula was pretty much like in coma, and so what Nimatsan, what she did, she had a Buddha statue in her hand, all the lights were out, and she shone a flashlight on it. So even though Ursula was dement, but she opened her eyes, she saw the Buddha, which some part of her mind recognized as something trustworthy as a refuge. She smiled and she died. So even though you get dement, I think your practice is still there somewhere. You take it with you and it's still there. And it could be woken up by a sound of a mantra, by an image of the Buddha or an image of your master or whatever. So nothing is lost. Nothing is for nothing, you know, because dementia, Alzheimer's, forget it, we get it, what to do. Yeah. We won't be the only ones. There's nothing to be afraid of. We might forget all these unpleasant things that we carry with us. So even that can have a good thing. It can be very, very hurtful for the people who are around you. Because one daughter, Her mother was totally dement, and so of course she looked after her mother. She went to visit her, and her mother would complain to the daughter about the daughter, saying, "Oh, she never comes to visit me. This is really horrible. But you are really nice, and I really like her." I mean, this is. Luckily, the daughter was a Buddhist, so she wasn't hurt. So she said, "Well, at least now in her dementia, she recognizes me as a kind person, so it's okay." But still, some part it hurts. She complains about the daughter who never comes to visit, and she's there every day. I wish my daughter would be like you. It's like, there's no way you can say, "I'm your daughter." She said, "No, you're not my daughter. My daughter is not kind like you." But at least she recognized the kindness in her daughter, even though she didn't label that person my daughter, so it's okay. Because the daughter was still the daughter from the daughter's side. Okay, she was just not the daughter from the mother's side. Again, are you only a daughter because your mother recognizes you as a daughter? No, not really. It's totally subjective. The whole thing is totally subjective. But yeah, it can happen to us also. So we can make dedications, when we are dement, may we only remember the good things. May we see everybody's kindness. May we be able to, or may we be in a way that is easy to look after us, because we will need to be looked after. So you need to train that now. When somebody wants to help you, I'm not very good at it, me. When somebody wants to help you, say, "Oh yeah, thank you very much." And say, "Oh, I can do this alone." Yeah, we can train now to accept the help. Then it will be easy to look after us. See, when old people, when the fear that we have of old people's home and all this is, I lose my independence. You think you're independent now? This whole thing about independence, total illusion. If everybody that we're depending on for survival would stop doing their jobs, we would be dead in 3 weeks. You see, if all the shops where we buy our food, be it health food shop or market or micro or whatever, if they all go on strike, there's nothing we could buy. Can we independently survive? Can you grow vegetables so quickly? Can you produce food so quickly? Even if it's like oat milk or soy milk or whatever milk. Everything that we enjoy, everything that makes it possible for us to survive, comes from others. And we think we're independent. It's total illusion. Okay, so don't worry about losing your independence. You never had it anyway. It's just that there we can say thank you, because we see how dependent we are. Yeah. So instead of being angry at the person who helps you, because you think it's their fault that I lose my independence, we say thank you. Yeah, this is what you should do when you go to the micro or to the market or wherever. Oh, thank you so much for doing your shitty job for very little money. Yeah. You see, I was with psychoanalysts in Israel also, and they're quite a bit arrogant and haughty, sorry to say. So, it's a, what's your priority? So one of them said, "Oh, having a meaningful life." I said, "Well, I'm sure you have a meaningful life. You're a psychoanalyst. Come on." I mean, they were studying. So I said, what if you don't have the opportunity to study such a meaningful job? Or this means your life has no meaning? What if you are a person in a supermarket? You say, "Oh yeah, this is it." So then I gave him this example. I said, "Look, if they go on strike for 1 month, we would die. If you go on strike for 1 month, nobody dies." Well, this, we have this thing, they do, "Wow, wonderful job," and all of this. And all the others is they feel bad about filling the shelves. Yeah. In order to survive, this is more important, or just as important. All these categories and distinctions that we make. Meaningful life is when you do this. Meaningful life is when you fill the shelves in the micro. You keep so many people alive. You allow them to be healthy. Isn't that wonderful? Okay. So the same way as we motivated in the morning, we will do the dedication quickly. Oh, I'm sorry, I went over almost half an hour. I did make a time plan, but it didn't.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Don't feel
Okay,
guilty.
it's okay. Okay, good. Well, even if it's not okay, that's the way it is. So we dedicate all the positive energy that we have generated. Now you think about your own goals first, so you direct the positive energy into that direction. May that and this and whatever come to ripen may come about. And we could, to think, so many people on this planet at this very moment are going through these stages, are in the process of dying. People around them feeling sad, confused also. So may the positive energy that we have created so that we and all others can kind of die a death in a very composed, calm and peaceful way. So people around them don't suffer too much. And also that maybe if we can then, we and them can realize the nature of our mind, which is the clear light, in order to attain full awakening very, very quickly and then be of benefit to all sentient beings. And in the meantime, in my existence, may whoever who sees me, hears me, touches me, thinks about me, may it only be of benefit to them. Have a very, very nice evening. And when you wake up tomorrow morning, think, oh, wow, I'm still alive. I don't have to start as a baby again and learn everything. I can just continue. Isn't that wonderful? Instead of going, Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.